Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And also peace and safety to the Akim that spread across the four corners of the world, that's pushing out this truth with all diligence and putting their lives on the line to do so. I'm the brother Karatazai, here out of Great Millstone, Atlanta. Here with the lesson, just going on endurance, and the truth, or the fact. Let me start off. Let me grab the etymology of the word endure. It says late 14th century, and it says to undergo or suffer. It says especially without breaking. Also, to continue in existence, or to make hard, harden, bear, tolerate, or keep up, or maintain. All right, and those are all things that we have to do, in order for our longevity, for us to have longevity in the truth. All right, we have to endure. We have to suffer. Without breaking, we have to continue in existence, make hard, harden, bear, tolerate the sufferings, all right, bear each other's burdens, so on and so forth, all right, because, this truth is meant to, build us, or like a lot of other religions. They have no purpose. They have no significance. It's really just idol worshiping. All right. Now this truth is supposed to make us better as men, fathers, brothers, all around aspects, man. Okay, and a part of that is enduring. All right. So I'm going to open up with Hebrews 12:1. I'm going to read it through, and I'm going to read it in the NLT version as well. It says, "Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight, and the sin which doeth easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us." All right. So we have to run this race with patience, man. All right. And it also said, lay aside every weight, the things that weigh us down, such as our, sins, our shortcomings. We have to try to shed those things, to become better. Just like if you run in the race, right? You have, or you're doing an obstacle course, you may have things, holding you down, right? You gotta shed certain things so that weight isn't on you no more, man. All right, and you'll be able to run longer, a more steady pace. That's what Paul is saying here. Salakia. And I'm going to read it in the NLT version as well. It says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up." You see? And the scriptures, matter of fact, let me get that. I'm going to come back to this. Oh yeah, it's Colossians 3:9. Lie not one to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds. And what's the old man? The old you. The one who sinned willfully, didn't know certain things, but now that we do know, the Lord, holds us to a higher standard, than the normal. Lord willing, we be a part of the elect, but on the old man part, you have to continue to shed, which are the sins. All right, this is a daily thing that we have to do. Not just when you first come into the truth, or you may feel like a big prophecy happens, and you're trying to get on a point. No, it's daily, man. We have to shed these sins daily, because what, like it said in Hebrews, it weighs us, it slows us down. It slows us down from the race that we're in. All right. It says, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. It says, and let us run with endurance the race that the Most High has set before us. All right. So we have to endure, It's like a marathon. In a marathon, or say you do a 10K race, you're not going, just hop out the gate, with a full sprint, because by the time you get close to the finish line, you ain't gonna have enough gas left in your tank to make it through. So from here, I'm gonna go to Matthew, the classic, 24 and 13. It says, but he that endure, it says, but he that endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So you have to endure to the end, You have to suffer to the end, without breaking. You have to tolerate, to bear, to be hard, to be firm, solid, and steadfast all the way into the end. What's the end? When the chariots, of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, come and beam the elect up out of America to save them from the said trouble, such as the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip. We wholeheartedly believe that through our studies, through our apostles and elders teaching us, and so on and so forth. Through the missiles, which the scriptures talk about, through the persecution. You have to endure through all of that, man. All right, and it starts with us knowing now. 1 Corinthians 9. Verse 24 says, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that ye may obtain. You see, so run that you may obtain the prize at the end, man. Don't tire yourself out, in this truth, man. The scriptures say that the Lord, loves, loosely paraphrasing, the Lord loves a just balance. All right, so it requires a hefty amount of balance, in this truth, man, or else you'll get burnt out. Just from you thinking that the Lord is gonna return tomorrow, being that zealous, that zealous state of mind, doing things unwarranted, to where you messing up, your life. Now you want to blame it on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. It's been done before, man. Okay? So just run the race that you'll be able to steadily run at your own pace, man. And the Lord is going to allow you to finish, man. All right? So we running to obtain that prize, man. All right, and like I said before, this, being a Hebrew Israelite, in the right mind, of course, it has a reward. Unlike these other religions, it's a prize that's set up for the elect, man. The scripture said that the race is towards the swift. It's a race of a steady pace, man. Another good analogy is, you may see, these guys running, a marathon, and then towards the finish line they'll cramp up, and they're falling, not be able to make it to the finish line, man. All right. So you have to run so none of those things can happen to us, man. And you have to shed those sins as we're running so that we can make it to the end. All right. It says, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. You see, so you have to be temperate. Long suffering. Having patience. All right, in all things. It says, now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible crown. So we're trying to attain that incorruptible crown, by being temperate, enduring, having patience, being made hard, on all levels. So I just wanted to touch on that. Let me finish it off. I'll finish. It's like y'all finish this off. Verse 26. It says, I therefore so run, not as uncertainly. So fight I, not as one that beateth the air. You see, so it's a purpose. It's a purpose for us that's in this race, man. We have a purpose. Not for just any old thing, just to say that, we're into something, or, it's the new thing to do. No, it's a purpose, man. We're trying to receive salvation here, man. That's a big thing. Said not as one that beateth the air, man. Because one that beats the air is just like, is nothing to come of that, man. Okay? So we run with the purpose. It's verse 27, but it says, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. So that was pretty much the point. Just being disciplined, having the endurance, work on ourselves on a daily basis, man. So you don't really have any weak points or weak areas. That's what the race is about, man. Okay, just running it at a steady pace. All right. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm going to go ahead and close up by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, B'Shem Yahushai, B'Shem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And to the next time, Shalom.